Okay, so if you're a parent trying to figure out the whole autism versus ADHD thing, you know how incredibly confusing it can be, right? It's like you're handed this puzzle, but half the pieces look the same. Well, in this explainer, we're going to dig into a really important piece of that puzzle, one that might just make everything click into place.
All right, let's jump right in. We're calling this the ADHD and autism puzzle for a reason, because that's exactly what it feels like for so many families.
So, why do they look so similar? I mean, really? If you've ever asked yourself that, trust me, you are definitely not alone. It's a question that pops up everywhere, from doctors' offices to late-night parent forums. And it's because, on the surface, trying to tell them apart can feel, well, almost impossible. And here's why it's so tricky. You might see your child struggling with focus. Maybe they have a hard time with social cues, or those executive function challenges, like planning and getting organized, and don't forget sensory stuff. These things can show up in both ADHD and autism. It's this overlap that makes getting a really clear diagnosis so tough. But here's a really important thought. What if we're looking in the wrong place? What if the real key isn't just about the symptoms, but about how those symptoms actually affect a child's ability to just get through the day? This is a huge shift in thinking. Right. The real challenge a lot of the time is this gap, the gap between how smart your child is and you know how brilliant they are, and their ability to actually use that intelligence in everyday situations. It's kind of like having a super powerful computer that can't connect to the internet. The potential is all there, but putting it into practice, that's the hard part. There's a name for this, by the way. It's called adaptive functioning. And it's not about IQ, not at all. It's all about those practical life skills. You know, things like communicating what they need, navigating social situations, or even just daily living stuff, like getting dressed or managing their belongings. It's the how-to of life. So that leads us to the big question. What does the science say about this? Well, a key study decided to tackle this head-on, and what they found is pretty revealing. Okay, so here's what the researchers did. They looked at 3 different groups of kids, and this is important. They all had similar IQs. You had one group with just ADHD, another with just autism, and then a third group that had both diagnoses. This setup was brilliant because it let them see what the real impact of each diagnosis, or the combination, was on those life skills. And the results? Wow, they were crystal clear. The kids with ADHD only actually had the highest scores in adaptive functioning. The kids with autism only were a bit lower. But the group with both autism and ADHD, their scores were the lowest across the board. They consistently faced the biggest challenges in just managing daily life. And here's the takeaway, straight from the study itself. When a child has both ASD and ADHD, it's not just like 1 + 1 = 2. It's more like a multiplier effect. The challenges are significantly greater than just having one or the other. It creates a whole new level of difficulty. Now, this is where it gets really, really important for us as parents, because this isn't just a snapshot in time. We're talking about a widening skills gap. The study also found something pretty sobering. As these kids got older, that gap between their intelligence and their daily life skills, it actually got wider. Without the right kind of support, they weren't catching up to their peers. They were at risk of falling further behind. That's a big deal. So, what does this mean for your child's future? It's the question that keeps us up at night, right? How do we make sure we're not just managing today, but we're actually building the skills they need to thrive down the road? How do we close that gap? Okay, let's talk about what we can do with this information. It's all about finding the right support. And this research gives us a powerful new way to think about and advocate for our kids. Because the goal isn't just to get a label, right? The goal is to get a complete diagnosis, an accurate roadmap. Because if your child has both, but you're only treating the ADHD or only focusing on the autism, you're missing a huge piece of the puzzle. It's just not going to be as effective. So what are the takeaways? Here's a quick rundown. 1, push for a truly comprehensive evaluation. Don't settle. 2, make building those real-world life skills a top priority. That's the adaptive functioning stuff. 3, if both conditions are present, they need to be treated at the same time. And 4, use this information to be your child's best advocate, to get support that's truly tailored to them. I know. Hearing all this can feel like, okay, now what? It can feel like a lot. But the really good news is you don't have to figure all this out on your own. There are some fantastic resources out there designed to help you bridge this exact skills gap. And I want to give a shout out to one in particular. It's from Angel's Awesome Books, and it's called Tips for Autism and Developmental Delays. What I love about it is that it's written for parents, by people who get it. It's packed with practical, what do I do on a Tuesday morning kind of strategies. It really helps you go from the diagnosis to the, okay, how do we do this? So really, what this all comes down to is a new question, a better question. Instead of asking, is it autism or ADHD? What if we start asking, how can we shift our focus from the labels to the life skills our kids truly need to thrive? Because that's the real goal here, isn't it? Building a foundation for them to have a happy, successful, and an independent life.